Hey, I'm Jake. I'm an indie game developer and I just recently launched my latest game, Crosswalk Joyride, on both the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. So if you're interested in that, go check it out. It's in the description below. I haven't made a devlog in a while. In fact, it's been quite a while, and I just wanted to basically show you guys what I've been up to, where I'm heading now that Crosswalk Joyride's over, and what you guys can expect from me in the future. In 2014, I had all these like crazy ideas for video games that I wanted to make, and the one I really wanted to make was this game centered around a whale and a beaver. And I came up with this little demo. I ran into some issues that I didn't like, such as like how Unity does tile sets and how they also incorporated pixel perfect cameras. The pixel perfect camera, I could never get it to work right, and it was always jittery. You'll see when like he moves and stuff. It just drove me nuts. So you had a standard punch, you could crouch and do a kick, you could do a jump kick, or you could just do a running jump, kind of like a punch. But throughout testing it, I decided that it really wasn't where I wanted it to be, and I was also kind of worried about doing another side-scrolling platformer because there's so many of them, and I was just worried that I was going to get lost in the kind of like the endless sea of indie platforming games. So I decided to do something terrifying and in fact try and make this game in 3D. Well, the first thing that I wanted to do is I didn't really like my character's design. This was the original one that I had. He has, it was supposed to be like these baggy army pants. I wasn't the best artist back in 2014, so I tried. But, you know, he was wearing these goggles. He was originally gonna have like a big Gatling gun, but forget that. I'm not doing that. So I decided I needed to make a new character design. And so I came up with this. This is the updated one that we're gonna go forward with. And I've completely changed his personality, how he dresses. He's now wearing athletic attire because he's muscular, trying to show off that he's very active. And that's gonna play a big part in the game. As for the beaver, his design hasn't changed too drastically since the last one. I've basically just changed up how his face looks, really. But I really did like the overweight aspect of him, and there's a few reasons I wanted him to be overweight that's gonna play into his platforming. With this concept art, actually, I was able to create some orthographic views of Jumbo, which I just made sure that it was all lined up evenly. And the reason why we make orthographic views, if you don't know, is for 3D modeling. What you do is you pull these into the 3D software and then you just kind of model based around these images, trying to make it a 3D object, basically. With Crosswalk Joyride, I had only done traditional modeling. I'd never actually tried sculpting, and there were a couple reasons for that. One, the main reason, I didn't actually have a drawing tablet back then. So using a mouse would have been kind of ridiculous to get the pressure sensitivity right for sculpting, so I didn't even bother with it. But now that I have a drawing tablet, I decided it would be kind of cool to learn a new skill and try and sculpt something. This is Jumbo in 3D. I used those orthographic views. He's pretty insanely defined in places, but I think as a first sculpt ever, like I didn't do any practices or anything, I just went for it. I think it's pretty dang good for a first attempt. The sculpt is not going to be the character that's in the actual game, and there's a reason why. If I was to go into its vertices, you can see that there's just a ton of faces on this guy. Like a frickin' ton. So there's this step in 3D modeling or sculpting that we call retopology. And basically what it does is you go back in, and for the entire model, you start with one face and you start dragging it around your model and extruding it along it while it's snapping to the verts of the previous one. And this is what I came up with. It's a lot less geometry in there, but it also gives us everything that we need. So this game is intended to be played for consoles and I guess PC. The shading I'm going for was cell shading, kind of like Breath of the Wild. It's got two bands. So it's not like Wind Waker. Wind Waker only had the one with a diffused barrier. So right now what we have is we have just his basic locomotion. So he can run, or I guess jog. So he starts at an idle pose, right? And then his sneaking, I don't know why, his animation is supposed to have his arms up, but it's not working with the blend tree for some reason. So right now he just kind of does it with his feet, where he's like sneaking along. If you barely touch on this, on the joystick, he's sneaking along. But then as you increase the joystick like all the way over, then he's at his full jog. We have a jump. So this jump, you know, you think in your mind just like, oh, a jump, that probably took like 2 seconds. It's like, but there's actually a lot behind getting a good solid jump in. So if we were to come over here, you can see on the grid, if you just tap it, you know, like the shortest amount of time, he goes about 1 block up. But if you hold it, he'll go all the way up. And it works to however you want to hold it. So when you let go, and this just is a better feel for a jump. And on top of that, we've also made it so like if you were to jump and then before hitting the ground again, if you were like just a little bit above it and you were to press A, he will still jump before actually touching the ground. And this is so that you don't feel like you pressed it when you're on the ground. You know, if you had to do a quick thing where you had to jump right after it. That way, if it just feels nicer. And then on top, another one that you always have to look out for is when you run off a ledge. If you were to jump like right after leaving an edge, you'd want your player to be able to jump. So like that. I wasn't actually on touching any surfaces, so the grounding variable on my character controller was actually off. But I programmed it to let me jump because most people will accidentally run right past it. I'm using a character controller. I didn't want to use a rigid body because I want to implement the physics in the way that I want to. I don't want to have to be constricted or trying to manipulate already like forces that are being applied in various areas. It's just a nightmare. There's no root motion applied to any of my animations. So all of these forces are coming from actual code. And because of that, I ran into a few issues. Root motion really helps with certain animations if you were gonna, so for instance, you can see with my player, when he runs to the side, he kind of like leans into it. You can see, so if he goes straight and then he curves over, he's just leaning into it a little bit. And that really helps sell the idea. And on top of that, if he leans into it, his speed actually reduces a little bit. Otherwise it would look bizarre. And I couldn't, for the longest time, I didn't realize what was going on, but that was what it was. So yeah, this is just like a little test area. I was trying to decide what kind of stairs looked better. I have it set to an offset where I can actually go up these, but it looks pretty jumpy. It jumps from point to point, you know, up to the platform, and it looks kind of jarring. This one is actually just a vertical slope that's invisible, but like you can kind of tell because like as he gets up, it's like not actually on the object, but it's not jittery at all. So I don't know which one I like better yet, or if there's like a better way of doing staircases, but right now that's what I have for them. I don't know which one I'm gonna use. But yeah, that's what I've been working on. I'm pretty excited about it. I really enjoyed getting to this point that I'm at so far. So if you want to see more from Jumbo in the future, subscribe to the channel because I'm going to keep making devlogs and we're going to continue making this game and we're going to make it into something great. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this and I'll catch you guys in the next one.